Is going on, everybody? What is going on? The catch fam. I hope everyone's doing fantastic. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. Boy, oh boy, week 14 of the 2024 fantasy football season kicking off. I mean, we have Thursday out of the way, but the rest of these games kicking off in what is just another just an insanely dramatic week of fantasy football here in the 2024 fantasy football season. We got a lot to get into tonight. So Biocalypse Part 2. And just, man, I mean, we got Kenneth Walker out. We got Breece Hall out. We just cannot catch a break this season, man. So 1 week away from the fantasy playoffs. This season has flown by, but this is a huge week. And I mean, we got all these injuries. We got all these players on bye week. This is one of the toughest weeks I've ever seen in fantasy football. And man, this is just a tough season overall. But nonetheless, you know exactly what we need to do. Need to hop into some live fantasy Q&A. Anything that you guys need, starts, sits, roster reviews, last second waiver wire additions. I doubt you guys have trade questions, but if your trade deadline has not happened yet, you can, of course, ask trade questions, dynasty questions, whatever you guys need. Maybe you guys are looking forward to week 15. Maybe you know you're going to have a bye week next week and you're looking forward to week 16. Whatever it is, get in the live chat. Let me know what you guys need. As always, we're going to have some fun and we're going to talk some fantasy football tonight. Hope you guys are doing great. Let me know how everyone's doing as well. And let's just quickly go through the news here. And then we'll get rolling into your guys' fantasy questions. I will say right off the bat here, I'm a little bit under the weather again. So I do apologize. I'll probably be a little bit slower tonight. But I apologize, guys. I think it's just first year of school for my daughter, and I think that explains it all. But she's had a runny nose all week and got a little bit of whatever she's got, but just so you guys know, bear with me. All right, Breece Hall is out. Not going to play versus Miami. We talked about this in this morning's video. Braylon Allen, if he's out there, you got to start Braylon. I mean, you don't have to start him, but you got to pick him up. And I really think there's a strong chance that we might just be done with Breece Hall in the season because I believe if the Jets lose this weekend, they're out of the playoffs. Don't quote me on that. But if that's not the case, then they are close. I mean, they are the very bottom team in the playoff hunt. I mean, or they're at least tied with the Browns and Titans, all at 3-9. And all three of those teams have a playoff probability percentage of 1%. So we'll see what happens here, but I don't think it's looking very good. And I don't know exactly how the Jets get eliminated, but if and when the Jets do get eliminated from the playoffs, then I think there's a strong chance that they just shut Breece Hall down. So, I mean, we'll find out, but I really would encourage you guys. I mean, what's crazy is from the time I started recording this morning's video, Braylon Allen was sitting at 40% rostered. By the time I was done editing that video, he had moved up to 53% rostered, and now he's sitting at 59% rostered. And I know it's a tough week for a lot of fantasy managers because we have all these teams or players on bye week, teams on bye week, right? So those drop decisions are a little bit tougher because you're already having to fill in for a lot of crucial bye weeks this week. So I'm not totally surprised there. And then I guess some people are still theorizing that Isaiah Davis could get some touches here because he had 3 catches this past week, but in a touchdown. But man, I think it'll mainly be Braylon Allen. Who knows though? But yeah, he's got a great strength of schedule if he ends up being the lead back to wrap up the season. Miami this week, Jacksonville, the Rams, and Buffalo. So it's definitely not a bad strength of schedule. The Rams and Miami are actually the 2 toughest matchups there, but they're not bad matchups per se. Anyways, Braylon Allen literally, I think, could be a league winner. We shall see. And Breece Hall is at least not playing here in week 14. Kenneth Walker is also not going to play in week 14. He is out. So Zach Charbonnet, if he's out there, sitting at 55% rostered, is a play this week on the road against the Cardinals if you are sitting deep into the Biocalypse. But I mean, Zach Charbonnet is another one of these kind of handcuffed running backs that has already been rostered in a lot of leagues, but he's still technically on sleeper, sitting at 55% rostered. So there is a chance, once again, that you can go out and grab Charbonnet. The Cardinals are kind of right there in the middle, 18th against the running back position in terms of fantasy points allowed. And the Dolphins, just for reference, when we're talking about Braylon Allen, set at 22nd against the running back position. So we've seen Charbonnet as a RB1 with Walker out early in the season. He's a play. And Braylon Allen certainly can be a play. We've seen his standalone value. All right. We'll talk more about that as the night progresses. Dallas Goedert is headed to IR. Grant Calcaterra is a streaming option at tight end. We talked about that in the streaming video. It is a good enough matchup. He gets the Panthers. We'll see past that. But this week, he is an option. DJ Moore and DeAndre Swift are questionable because why not? I mean, this is just the most important season of our week of fantasy football this season yet. So DJ Moore is optimistic he'll play. DeAndre Swift is still listed as questionable. And then Roshan Johnson is he's out with the concussion, right? So a lot of people looking to Travis Homer, who could end up being the RB1 for the Bears, but we'll see if Swift is able to play through it. I mean, come on. Come on. Why this week? We already have 6 teams on bye. Devonta Smith will play. I do think Devonta Smith is a startable player this week, and I think a lot of you guys are going to be stuck in a tough position where you can't bench Devonta Smith due to the injuries and bye weeks. But keep in mind, the Panthers aren't they're not that bad defensively against the pass. They're allowing the 11th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. So just keep that in mind. Outside of that, I think we're through everything here. Nothing else we need to go over that's happened. But I mean, those are 2 really big things, and those Bears injuries definitely don't help either. So we'll see what happens, and we will just have to go from there. It's just another tough week. All right, let me know what you guys need. Let's start rolling through your guys' fantasy questions. All right, Chase, how are you doing? Always good to have you in the house. Purdy, Stafford. I will say I'm pretty worried about Brock Purdy this week. I mean, it's really easy to forget that Purdy was playing fantastic before he got hurt and then missed a game and then had the awful game in the snow where he was playing hurt, right? I mean, he had 19 or more fantasy points in 5 straight games. So just don't forget that. But the thing is, it's not a good matchup for Purdy or Stafford. They have 2 of the worst possible matchups. Purdy gets the Bears, giving up the 2nd fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks, and Stafford gets the Bills, who are giving up the 3rd fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks. And both of these teams very good against wide receivers as well. The Bills are giving up the fewest points to the wide receiver position, and the Bears are giving up the 4th fewest. So, yeah, that is a bad situation for both quarterbacks. I talked about Stafford in the potential bust video, and I am worried about him, man. And I'm worried about Purdy as well. I mean, you're really flipping a coin. And the thing with Stafford is he did get a little banged up this past week. He's coming off of a lower ceiling game, but I mean, so is Purdy, and Purdy's banged up. So, I do find both of these starts to be worrisome. I would try to look for a streaming option. I mean, I know it's tough. You're gonna have to make a decision here, probably on someone who you're gonna sit, but Stafford has a bad rest of season strength of schedule, and so does Purdy. I mean, Stafford is going to have Buffalo, San Francisco, the Jets, and Arizona, although I could see San Francisco and the Jets both kind of season's over, defense not as good. Purdy gets Chicago, the Rams, Miami, Detroit. So, I mean, man, I might just try to stream depending on who's out there, bro. So, I don't know if that answered your question, but if I had to pick one, it's just not a good situation. All right, Mr. Magic, we got Jason, DK, or Jacoby. Full PPR. I'm going Jacoby Myers. I mean, like Myers has been fantastic. He's a must-start player for me this week. I mean, JSN has been great, and DK can always pop. Don't get me wrong. And Myers is going in the week as questionable, but man, I mean, he gets Tampa Bay this week, then Atlanta, then Jacksonville, then New Orleans. Like if he plays, he's a must-start player. He has 15.7 or more fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games. I got to go Jacoby. If he doesn't play, I think I would take the safer floor with JSN. If I had to bench Pickens, Calvin Austin, or Debo, I like Calvin Austin this week. But I don't know, like, if my feelings on him are a little bit lower if he's the wide receiver 1. Yeah, of course, Pickens is questionable with that hamstring injury too. The Steelers the Browns are decent against wide receiver 1s. They got Denzel Ward out there, so like the touchdown upside kind of goes away. I like Calvin Austin a lot more if he's the wide receiver 2 here, but in theory, you should see more volume if Pickens is out. So like Sutton had a good game last week. He just didn't have that touchdown upside. So I kind of lean Calvin Austin. I don't really feel good about Debo this week. I hate this week already. This is one of those weeks too. Like we're a week away from the playoffs. This is the most crucial week of fantasy yet. Like, just make sure you guys are trusting your gut. Don't let anybody else be the final verdict of who you start this week and through the playoffs. Make sure you guys trust your gut is what I always say this time of year, but it's tough out here, man. Mr. Magic dropped Kincaid for Ertz. I got JD for the stack. Yeah, I would absolutely rather roster Ertz than Kincaid. 100%. Easy for me. Oh, it's good to see you, bro. ETN or Allen? I'm going Braylon Allen. I know some people are kind of on like the ETN train for the week. I've even heard Tank Bigsby floating around out there. I'm not quite there. I mean, he should get the volume where if he scores, then sure. And Tennessee has fallen back quite a bit in terms of points allowed to running backs in fantasy. They've moved back to 20th. So, nah, Mac Jones at quarterback, he was okay last week. So I don't trust these Jaguars running backs. I'd rather start Braylon Allen personally. Bench 1 Higgins, B. Tom, Jacoby, Devonta. It's probably B. Tom or Devonta. I'm not benching Higgins or Jacoby. Maybe Devonta, first game back off that hamstring injury, going up against the Panthers, 11th fewest points to the position. I think he's definitely a playable player this week. I think a lot of people are going to have to start him due to everything going on. But, with these options, I might lean that way. But also keep in mind that Brian Thomas, the Titans are pretty good against wide receivers, the 7th fewest points to the position. So it's between those two, whoever you have less faith in. Titans or Seahawks D? I'm going with the Seahawks. I'm going Seahawks here. Like the Seahawks are the floor play. The Titans give you that upside, but plenty of risk. Aaron Jones or Nick Chubb? What's up? No limit. Oh man, yeah, these are another 2 guys that I'm kind of worried about on the week. Aaron Jones did make the bust video. Nick Chubb was on like my brainstorming list. I almost put him in the video. I probably take Aaron Jones because I think the game script could get better in that game. Where I could see the Browns Steelers being less of a game where a team runs. I could see the Vikings getting up on the Falcons in this game, and that benefits Jones. But I don't really like either option this week, to be honest. Alexander, Charb, Allen, or Tracy? I probably would stick with Tracy, but yeah, this is definitely an interesting conundrum. But Tracy has a good matchup. Drew Lock starting. He seemed to help that offense move the ball a little bit better than Tommy DeVito. The Saints have been awful against running backs, so I'd probably go Tracy. But yeah, I won't be surprised if Charbs or Braylon Allen outscore Tracy. So I mean, it's very close there, and I think all are good starts this week. Sorry, guys. Getting through another cold. AJ, neither win, my guy. Crossing my fingers. Have a good lineup. However, Debo, Cooper, Disley need 2 in full PPR. Playing for the first round bye, the division, and first place. as he and I are both 11-2. Well, good news is you're making the playoffs, right? I mean, this is one of those where like who in the world knows what you're going to get out of Amari Cooper? Like I'm not starting Amari Cooper, right? I'm not even rostering Amari Cooper, to be honest. And Debo's kind of close to that area. Yeah, it's just not a good matchup for Debo. Like, I mean, it sounds crazy, but I would go Disley. Oh, you need two. Oh boy, oh boy. I mean, like, what has Cooper done? I mean, like literally. Like, sure, he can always show up. He's had 7.5 or less points every game since week 8 and has only played in 3 of them. I mean, it's not the worst matchup against the Rams, but it's just so risky. You have no idea what to expect. Keon Coleman's still questionable. May or may not play. I mean, Disley's got the matchup here. Bad matchup for Debo. Cooper, I'm like, I mean, come on. You know? That's how I feel about Cooper. I'm like, I mean, what? There's no consistency. I'm really worried about Debo this week. Bears giving up the 4th fewest points to wide receivers. I don't know if him or Jennings going to see more Jalen Johnson, but still. I mean, the thing with Debo, you can always do Debo things. You're like, oh, look at that. But I probably go Debo and Disley. Like, at least there's still some upside with Debo. And I mean, I think you could argue the same thing for Coop, but I see at the bottom of the chat, you have Braylon Allen. I would start Braylon Allen over any of these guys. I would. I go Braylon Allen and Disley as the safest plays, but some of that upside is still with Debo and Cooper. But like, I mean, with how much you have on the line here, I would probably just take the floors. I just go Disley and Braylon Allen. Does anybody in the chat still trust Debo? Does anybody in the chat still trust Amari Cooper? I just can't do it, man. Jonathan, we got Hurts, Burrow, Mayfield. I mean, you can't go wrong here. I'm tempted to go Burrow, but I probably would just stick with Hurts. But you got 3 of the top 6 quarterbacks. I'd probably just go Hurts. But if you want to go Burrow, I mean, like, he might end up just torching the Cowboys. And of course, there's always an argument for Baker too. Baker has been kind of not as high of a ceiling lately, right? So the Cowboys are 28th against quarterbacks. The Panthers are 27th. So I mean, great matchup for both guys here. Yeah, I think I kind of lean Burrow, but the only reason I say that is because I mean, Saquon might rush for 5 touchdowns in this game, but Hurts could also get in there. I mean, the Panthers are just really bad against running backs, quarterbacks, and tight ends. Not so bad against wide receivers. So, I mean, the good news is, like, I get a question like this, like, you're not making a bad start no matter what you do. Kels, do we hold or keep Trey Benson? I mean, you can. I mean, we've seen in the past week handcuffed running backs paying off. Isaac Garando, Jordan Mason for 15 minutes, Braylon Allen, Zach Charbonnet. So it just depends on your roster. So you never know. Kincaid or Gray? This week is, and that's the other thing with this week. Like, we got so many coin flips. Like I said earlier, make sure you guys trust your gut. I'm going to give you guys the data. I'm going to give you guys the matchup, but it's just tough. Noah Gray, coming off of a lower ceiling game, but he did have 6 targets this past week and 58 receiving yards for what it's worth. But you got a tough matchup. Chargers giving up the 3rd fewest points to tight ends in fantasy. And yeah, I'm just like, I mean, Kincaid has the matchup. He does. Rams have been pretty bad against tight ends, but he's still listed as questionable. And I mean, that's in the afternoon window. So, but Gray plays Sunday night. So I kind of lean. I'm not really big on Kincaid right now, but I'll say Kincaid has the upside. Noah Gray has the floor, but Kincaid might not play. Tracy, Braylon, Pickens, BTJ, one running back, two flex. Yeah. I will say this, guys. I am in on Braylon Allen this week. If you guys didn't get that from today's video, I'm definitely starting Pickens if he plays. And like BTJ for me all season long, like he's just been a start. If he plays, I'm going to start him, But I do like Tracy this week. He has a good matchup. So if Pickens doesn't play, then I think you can throw Tracy in here. It's just like, what is the upside for Tracy this week with the quarterback situation there, right? So I probably lean Pickens, BTJ, Braylon. But the good news is you have good starts, like no matter what here. How do you feel about Sincere on the Raiders? So yeah, we've talked about him. I talked about him in this morning's video, right? So he's been the most efficient running back over the past couple of weeks in terms of yards per carry. Coaching staff seems to like him. But I just think it does get risky if Alexander Madison plays. And right now, he is still listed as questionable. We know Zamir White's out. Amir Abdullah, I think, will kind of get the back seat here. And McCormick would be the RB1. But if Madison plays, that value goes away to me. I don't think it's worth risking it. And the Bucs have improved against the run. They have moved up to 14th against running backs in fantasy. So I will keep that in mind as well. But like, he's worth stashing, especially if Madison gets shut down for the season. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Kilkenny, Devonta Smith or Elijah Moore. I mean, both have bad matchups. Everyone looks at the Panthers like, oh my gosh. Got to start everyone against the Panthers. They're not that bad against receivers. Yeah, I mean, so the Panthers are 11th. The Steelers are 10th against wide receivers, fantasy points allowed. So Devonta Smith's coming off the injury. If you don't like that, go Elijah Moore. If it doesn't bother you, I'd probably just go Devonta Smith. Is Cedric Tillman playing this week? He's out. So that helps Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore, good play. I go Devonta, personally. But I am a Devonta Smith truther. All right, Chip needs a running back and two flex. Pacheco, Garando, Allen, Debo, Mooney, and Nick Westbrook. Keeney. Give me Garando, Braylon Allen, and Nick Westbrook Keeney. Best matchups here. In a week like this, I'm looking at matchups. So it is gonna. I got a bad feeling about this week. Like I think some matchups might go out the window. I think there's gonna be some disappointment this week. I just got that bad feeling, but yeah, I'm gonna go Garando, Braylon Allen, Nick Westbrook, Akini here. Jonathan got 3 TDs from Jacobs. Too bad my Packers lost the game. Great game, but I guess not great if you're a Packers fan. Geno over Purdy. I mean, I don't feel much better about Geno, my dude. Arizona against quarterbacks or 14th. Like, it's not that great. It's a better matchup. I mean, he has 16 or less fantasy points in 3 straight games, 16 or less in every game since week 8, except for week 9 against the Rams, and 13 or less in 2 straight games. Like, man, it's just tough. I haven't really been on Geno. I would literally rather start Will Levis. I mean, his ceiling is not very high, but the matchup's there. Although we might see a big Tony Pollard game. Aiden O'Connell gets the Bucs. Like him as a streaming option. He had 19 points this past week. Cooper Rush gets the Bengals. Like, man, like I'm trying to look at matchups this week because I got some bad feelings about some of these guys. But like if Stafford or Purdy or Geno comes through, I'm not going to be surprised. Russ gets the Browns at home. He might bounce back this week compared to what he did last time he played the Browns. I know Sam Darnold's not out there, but man, Sam Darnold, he's moved up to QB8. He's probably not out there. MVS or Brian Thomas? Ask Chester. I go Brian Thomas. Orac was good, bro. Millie, pick one. Rush, Young, O'Connell, or Winston? O'Connell. I think he has the best floor, but if you want the upside, go Winston. Not in on Bryce Young this week due to the matchup. We liked him last week as a stream, but not this week. Cooper Rush, I think, has a decent floor too. But yeah, O'Connell for the floor, Winston for the risk, but also upside. The Steelers played him pretty well last time, but they're in the snow. Drop Keon Coleman for MVS. I would personally. I would. Playoff run this week. Need help. Start Purdy or O'Connell. I would start O'Connell. Yeah. Purdy worries me. Stafford worries me. Those are the two guys in terms of starting quarterbacks that I really have concerns about this week. You think Swift is playing? I hope so, but the reports are very murky right now. So very tough to say. It's a quad injury. Like I don't know if he practiced. Okay, he did practice yesterday. That was kind of the big question. If he didn't practice yesterday, then it was that basically means he's out, right? But he did practice, so that's a good sign at least. We'll see. It's my safety, sir. Start 2 wide receivers, full PPR. Cup, Lendo, MH, McConkey. Yeah, if Lad McConkey plays, I'm starting Lad McConkey right now. And oh man, this is tough. I'll probably go Cup in London actually, if I can only pick 2. But Lad is right there. But I find it really tough. Like Cup and London are in my starting lineups. Period. Chip, we need 1.5 PPR. Neighbors, BTJ, Connor, or Garando. Connor for a floor, Garando for upside, but in half PPR, I'm taking one of the running backs. Let's see here. Killikenny, Devonta Smith, Elijah Moore, Braylon Allen, or Charbonnet. Pick one. I'll go on Braylon Allen. I'm risking it for the biscuit with Braylon Allen this week. I am in on Braylon Allen. So he better not have a bad game. Outside of that, it's probably Devonta Smith. In non-PPR, who should I flex this week since Brees is out? Garando, Allen, White, Myers. I mean, I like a lot of things about Isaac Garando this week. I like a lot of things about Braylon Allen. Rashad White is my guy. But Jacoby Myers, he's been great. I keep rolling with him if I got him. If he doesn't play, then I'd probably go Braylon Allen, but Garando's fine too. Orac needs 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a flex. Ladd, Mooney, Cooper, Thielen, Worthy. RBs. Okay, so you got Chase Brown, Charby, Trace, and Allen. Okay, I'm definitely starting Ladd. The second wide receiver is tough, man. I probably just go Mooney due to the matchup, although I'm a bit concerned about Cousins' quarterback play this week. I'm really worried about Adam Thielen, but he might be able to scarf something up against these Eagles corners. I don't know though. I don't know if I trust it. So I'll probably go Ladd and Mooney for the upside in a good matchup, and a matchup where I think the Falcons will need to throw the ball. But that second wide receiver, any of these guys could outscore each other, especially if they score a touchdown. I'm definitely starting Chase Brown. I'm gonna take Tracy against the Saints, and then I'll go Braylon Allen. But if you like Zach Charbonnet more than Tracy or Allen, I think that's okay too. But yeah, I'm definitely flexing an additional running back. Jonathan says doesn't trust Debo or Cooper. Yeah, it's tough out here. That's what I figured you guys would say. Nino, need to start 3. Nick Westbrook, Brian Thomas, Mooney, Debo, or Rome Dunze. I'm going Nick Westbrook and Keeney. I'm going Brian Thomas, and I'm going Mooney. I'm looking outside of B-Tom. I'm looking at matchup here. Now, Roma Dunze does get interesting if DJ Moore sits. I think you could play him like over Mooney, for example. But I would only do that if DJ Moore sits. Or like other league, Murray, Herbert, or O'Connell. I'm going Kyler. And if Kyler doesn't throw, and he threw 2 picks last week, if he doesn't throw that 1 interception at the end, he has 20 fantasy points. So I'll still stick with Kyler. And I do think Herbert's going to bounce back this week. I got like a lot of, like on the QB start sit video, like a lot of people like, why would you start Herbert? Like, it's one game. Okay. Like, yeah, he had a bad game last week. You know, he's been very good outside that over the past couple of weeks. Good matchup. Chiefs defense, not as scary as you might think. And they're banged up. They are good against the running back position, though. Aaron, 1 wide receiver, 8 flex, JSN, Ladd, Garando, Jones, Mooney, or Dowdle. I'm going to go JSN and Ladd if it's full PPR. I would definitely start Ladd, but you could go Garando or even Dowdle here if you wanted. But I think I just roll with JSN and Ladd. Safest floors. Mega Break, full PPR, start Judy or Jennings. I'm going Judy. I just not a good matchup for Jennings. I'm just worried about this 9. Like, I like Garando this week, but I'm worried about the Niners this week. I'm just worried about them, man. Start Saints defense or Cardinals. Cardinals for a floor, and they do have a better overall strength of schedule to finish the season if you only want to hold one defense. But the upside play this week is the Saints defense against Drew Lock and company. Phenomenal. Start 2, Braylon Allen, Rashad White, Zach Charbonnet. I'll go Allen and Charbs because they're going to get that RB1 volume. You guys know me. I mean, still like me some Rashad White. Don't get me wrong. Raiders are kind of right there in the middle. They've improved against the run. So I don't hate Rashad White this week, but I'll take the kind of the 2 that are closer to RB1 volume in Allen and Charbs. Is Jerry Jeudy a legit wide receiver 1 now for the rest of the season in fantasy for teams? Yeah, absolutely. But he's not going to have that ceiling again. Like, I guarantee you, like, my guess on Jeudy for the week is like 12 to 14 points. You know, that was kind of the range he was in for the most part. He had a big game against the Saints, but that's kind of the range he was in for the most part if you take away some of the really bad Deshaun Watson performances. But even to start the season, remember, we talked a lot about Jerry Jeudy, like the first 5-ish weeks of the season. And then we started to get those really bad Watson games, right? And then Watson stopped playing after week 7, and Jeudy came back to life after that. So he's at 12.9 or more points every week since week 8. So, but 12.9, 14.3, 26.2 against the Saints, 14.5, then 40.5 this past week. So, yeah, absolutely. But you got to keep in mind, too, like his strength of schedule is a little flimsy here. Pittsburgh, tough this week. Kansas City, not as bad as it has been. Decent, okay matchup. Cincinnati, great matchup. In week 16, you were definitely starting Jeudy week 16. And then it ends in the fantasy championship with a tough matchup against the Dolphins. But yeah, Judy's a wide receiver 1. You could argue he's a wide receiver 2. And for most rosters, he probably is a wide receiver 2. But yeah, you can start Jeudy every week. Unless Jameis Winston gets hurt, right? Caleb or Herbert? I would go Herbert. I do think the Bears could come out here, have like a legit game against this Niners defense. Like, I could see the Niners just completely falling off. But I think Herbert's going to bounce back this week. But Caleb is definitely startable. Run team, see what's going on. If you had to drop one to pick Braylon, D-Hop, Westbrook, Hawk, Fairbairn. I mean, if you're asking me personally, I would just move on from the kicker and kind of keep the skill position guys here. Are you starting Hawk this week? Or are you starting somebody else? Because if you're not going to drop the kicker, then it is Hawk for me. But only if you have a starting tight end, of course. Because, like, in my opinion, after this week, like, you just start Andrews till the end of the season. So, but yeah, I know Fairbairn's been fantastic, so I get it. But yeah, I bite the bullet and I just stock the wide receivers and tight ends, running backs. Would you drop Kamani Vidal pick up in a heartbeat? It's not even close, JSC. I would please right away. Watch it be a Debo week. That's kind of the thought that sometimes we have these weeks, especially late in the season, where these matchups go out the window. That's why I tell you guys to trust your gut. You look at a lot of players like DJ Moore, who's banged up, Debo Samuel, tough matchups for them. Cooper Cup, Puka Nakua, tough matchups. B Tom, tough matchup. Judy, tough matchup. Thielen has a tough matchup. Hill, although Gardner's not playing, Sauce Gardner's not been that good this year. Actually, he might just be questionable, but Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, bad match. Jamison Williams had a bad matchup, came through, right? Amon-Ra at least got you 10 points in that matchup. So, and no one has brought up, I mean, I'm kind of happy, but no one has brought Jaden Reed up tonight. What? I mean, I know I told a lot of people to start Jaden Reed, so I started Jaden Reed in like any league I had him. What was that? All right. Caesar had Hall and K9 this week. Now I have to start Connor and Allen and Debo at the flex. Am I good? Yeah. I mean, it could be much worse than this. Much worse. I mean, Debo, like I said, I'm a little worried about him, but the other two should be fine. Sincere McCormick thoughts. Yeah, we talked about this earlier. It's really going to depend. If Alexander Madison plays, I'm not risking it. If Madison's out, I think McCormick is startable. But once again, I think we want to kind of tamper our expectations here. But yeah, he's looked efficient in the past 2 games for sure. Talked about that in this morning's video. Should I start Kyron Williams over Cook or Irving? No, it's extremely close, and any of these running backs could outscore each other. Do not get me wrong. I'm not if Bucky's out there, I'm starting Bucky. I just can't bench Bucky Irving. He's expected to play, but he is dealing with that hip injury. And yeah, Cook's in my must start list for the week. But I still really like Kyron, and Kyron made the must start video last week. So I mean, the good news is you can't really go wrong. Should I start AJ Brown over Myers or Pickens? Maybe. I mean, Myers is questionable and Pickens is questionable, but those are the two that I prefer this week. But I will say this, and I've said it all season long. I do not bench AJ Brown. If AJ Brown's playing, I'm probably just starting AJ Brown. But then the question becomes real murky. I probably lean AJ Brown and Myers. As much as I like Pickens, and Myers and Pickens were both in the must start video this week. So, I mean, once again, this is one of those situations where the good news is you don't have a bad start no matter what you do here. And any of these guys can end up outscoring each other. So it's going to be extremely close and definitely a difficult call for you. But I got a tough time benching AJ Brown. But I will say the Panthers much better against the pass than they are against the run. And I mean, we might see one of these Saquon game. We might see Saquon's best game of the season. Fergie or Njoku. I like both this week. I don't know what happened in the quarterback tight end video. I had David Njoku as a start, and I think I said maybe you could argue he's in the streaming radar compared to a start. And everyone came at me. The Steelers are a pretty tough matchup, but I listed him as a start still and still said I think you should start him. The most likes on a comment on that video was about that. Unless it got taken down, unless they deleted it. So now I'm not seeing it. I wanted to check. I don't know what happened to it. I guess it's gone. Oh, there it is. 16 likes. I didn't know what to do here. I told you guys he's a start, and then people are like, I don't know why you're saying he's not a start. I didn't. Anyways, I do like Njoku this week. But man, Ferguson's got the matchup here. But I'd probably just lean Njoku still. I mean, he's not going to have 2 touchdowns again. And he has come through in some tough matchups as of late as well. And Winston seems to like him in the red zone. I mean, he has 4 touchdowns since week 7, which is not too bad. So double digits in every game except for 2 in that stretch. So he did play it was a snow game, but he only had 3.9 points against Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago. So, but yeah, Ferguson's got a great matchup. But I would hate to get to Monday night and then Ferguson doesn't play. But then you just go Screwmaker, right? 24K Lightning. What's going on? Need a tight end. Who would you go with? Otten, Ferguson, Fryermuth, Jawan Johnson, Disley, or Kincaid? Well, it will be close. Any of these guys can, of course, outscore each other. I'm worried about Otten because he had a great matchup last week, and it just quite wasn't there. So I do worry about Otten, but he has another really good matchup this week. He could show up big time. The Raiders have been awful against opposing tight ends. So the Raiders are now 30th against the position, but Fryermuth has a great matchup as well. The Browns are 24th against the position, and Ferguson has the best matchup if he plays, as the Bengals have allowed the 31st most points to the position. And I'm sorry, Jake Ferguson was cleared, so he will be playing. That's my mistake. Matchups are with Ferguson and Fryermuth. I would flip a coin. Otten, like I said, Otten can pop off here, man, but it just hasn't been there the past 2 weeks or so. And he's still got the targets last week. I really like Ferguson. I'm gonna go Ferguson against the Bengals. But those are the 3 there that you kind of got to choose whoever you like the best there. Disley does have a good matchup. I don't trust Kincaid. It's a good matchup. I don't trust him. And Jawan Johnson, it's a tough matchup. Believe it or not, the Giants have been very good against tight ends this year. So close there. For me, I would risk it with Ferguson. And Cooper Rush has shown he likes throwing to the tight end position. But remember, guys, this time of year, trust your gut. Don't let me or anybody else be the final indicator of who you start this week or any other week for the rest of the season as we move into the fantasy playoffs. Not dropping Fairbairn. I mean, yeah, fair enough. You want to keep the kicker or like an elite defense on a bye week, I get it. I totally get it. I usually bite the bullet and try and hope that nobody notices the next week on waivers. No CMC. Debo gets 5+ carries. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't. They haven't really used Debo that way this season. And early in the season, like they didn't have CMC basically the whole season. Like we didn't really see that. So, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, you never know. M Phenomenal got one more. Shakir, Addison, or Debo. Shakir for a floor, Addison for risk, but upside. I'd probably start Shakir personally. Can I safely drop Worthy? If you need to, yes. I mean, that's the thing. You got some of these players extremely volatile. Like you just don't know what you're going to get. He's one of them. Are you ever going to be confident in starting Xavier Worthy is the big question. And if the answer is no, and you're not going to end up starting him, then yeah, you can move on. I mean, he's a super, like, I have him in a couple leagues. And like I'm playing him because I don't have anything else this week. But man, like he's gonna have these weeks where he kind of pops off, but he's been a bit disappointing to say the least. Tyler, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for trusting my opinion. Give me the fancy questions. Happy to be here. Otten or Hawkinson. I do like Hawkinson this week. I've had some concerns over the past weeks, I should say. I really worry about Otten because it's like there hasn't really been, like, Mike Evans is back. I get that, but There wasn't like any real reason why Otten should have had a bad game against the Panthers and where he had 7 targets and a good game script and only had 20 receiving yards. You know, he was tied for the second most targets last week. And he gets another good matchup this week. So I'm like, and the week before was bad. Week before that, week 10, before the bye week, was bad. So, sorry guys, I'm fighting another cold. I've been sick like all year. And there's something in my hair. I'll say Otten for the floor, Hawkinson for upside. Plus, you go by Hawkinson's pattern, he should have a double-digit game this week. Panthers going to win. They might. Yeah, I saw that $3 million bet. That is that's one I'd stay away from. Otten, Disley, Kincaid, pick one. Disley for the floor, Otten for upside. I'm not doing it with Kincaid. If Kincaid has a good game, so be it, but I'm not risking it. Feel bad for CMC. Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't a snow game, I don't know if he goes down like that, but you know, I feel bad for every player that got hurt this year. We've had a ton of injuries. Cup or Wilson? I'll go Cup. Are you surprised the Hawks and Cardinals are currently better than the Rams and Niners? Yeah. I would say if you asked me at the beginning of the season, I would have not had the Hawks or Cardinals ahead of either of those teams. So, yeah. I really like the Rams going into the year, if you guys remember. So, Pete and I, on the channel and streams talked about the Hawks, and Pete probably a little bit more. I would say, like, I thought the Rams would at least be up there if the Niners weren't. But there's still time. And there's still time for the Niners as well. That division is pretty wide. Yeah, my bad on Ferguson, guys. He's cleared. Baker or Will? I think Will Levis has a safe floor, but I could also see this being a game where the run game takes over. And the Jags have been like okay-ish over the past couple of weeks to a degree. When you really break it down against the pass. I would go Baker. I go Baker. Will Levis is a streaming option, but he's a desperation play. Rico or Charbs? Asked Jeremy. I think I go Rico. I mean, the Bengals are technically okay against the run, believe it or not. I mean, they're 15th. They're right in the middle. Arizona's 18th. So Arizona is the better matchup, but I mean, both should have RB1 volumes here. Really just banking like who's going to score. That's probably what it boils down to. You could really flip a coin here, but I kind of lean Dowdle. He's been playing well. Full PPR, 1 extra point for 40-yard plays and per completion. Mahomes, Mayfield, Winston. I mean, I would probably go Winston in this type of scoring format. But I think Mahomes will have a decent floor, and Mayfield is probably the player I prefer to start here. But yeah, I mean, in this scoring format, I'd just probably go Winston. But I do think Winston could easily come back to earth this week against that Steelers defense. Keep in mind, the Steelers are allowing the fewest fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks on the season. So I think like if it wasn't for the scoring format, I'd just go Mayfield. The Frogs, Neighbors, Lad, MH, D-Hop, Allen, Charbs need a wide receiver and a flex. Give me Lad. And I would probably go MH Jr., but if you don't want to play him, Braylon Allen's my next choice. I think Neighbors will probably have a good floor. But I'd probably go Lad and MH if it's my roster. But I mean, this is a very close one, actually. I really think any of these players could outscore each other. Like Lad is locked in for me. The rest are very close. Also flex Tracy, Allen, Charbs, or Westbrook. I mean, I feel really good about Braylon Allen this week, but I think Nick Westbrook-Akini gives you a ton of upside. So if I'm looking at a floor, it's probably Tracy or Allen, and Charbs is probably right there. If you want the upside, go Westbrook, though. That's tough. They're all good starts, though. That's the good news. Stafford or Levis, need a streamer. I'm going Levis. I'm really worried about Stafford this week. A little banged up last week. Very bad matchup. This is a bad matchup for wide receivers. Although, like, I'm starting Cup or Puka if I own them. Like, I'm not sitting them. But this is just a tough week for the Rams. Maybe outside of Kyron, who does have a good matchup. All right, Germs. Thank you for the super chat. We need to pick 2. MH, Jennings, Charbs. I'm benching Jennings. It's a bad matchup. I don't trust the health of Brock Purdy. It's a bad matchup for Purdy. Bad matchup for Jennings. The Niners, maybe they're fine, or maybe they fall apart this week. I won't be surprised with either outcome, but I would just prefer to stay away from this game in terms of the Niners. Garando's fine, I think, but yeah, I'm going MH and Sharps if it's me, bro. Thank you for the super chat. Sorry, guys. I know I'm low in energy, stuffy, got a cold. Barbara, BTJ, Shakir, Nick Westbrook, Pickens. Can only play one? I'm going Pickens if he plays. Jaden Reed's on the ban list. I feel like Jaden Reed's going to have like 27 points next week. I mean, what are we supposed to do? He has a great matchup against the Lions. Did he have a single target? I mean, what was that? Why this week? Why the goose egg this week? He had one target. How do you have one target? Was he like this is just a decoy out there? Like what how do you have that game plan in such a crucial game? Like I said earlier, he's only come up once on the night, but I mean, I just can't believe that. I can't believe it. Anyways, I'm going Pickens if he plays, but if he does not play, Nick Westbrook-Akini has the upside here for sure. But I have a tough time. Shakir and BTJ still give you an extremely safe floor. But I feel like you kind of need upside. The problem is Nick Westbrook-Akini, like I still think there's some risk, but I also think like it's really tough to bench him. So, I mean, like if you own Nick Westbrook-Akini, this is the week, right? Like against the Jags. So, man, I really hope Pickens plays because I think he's the best start here. But I think you probably need the upside because this guy was in your starting lineup. So, you know, what are you supposed to do? Would you rather go swimming with dolphins or play leapfrog with Patrick Mahomes? I would. I do. I don't know. I kind of like dolphins, but I like to meet Patty Mahomes. Also have Neighbors and BTS. Man, you got good options. I don't think I'd start either of those guys over your other options, though. All right, so Jervs, we got yours. Dicker the kicker or Richard from the Vikings. I'm going Dicker the kicker. He seems to be in a good spot this week. Chiefs a little bit bend, but don't break. He should have plenty of opportunity to kick field goals. Start 2 for RB1 and RB2, White A-Chain, Garando, or Braylon Allen. I'm going A-Chain for sure. Then I'd probably go Braylon Allen, but I think Garando is definitely startable there too. But yeah, I mean, A-Chain is easily locked in here. If Bucky is out, Allen, Ridley, Akini, I don't think Bucky will be out, so I think you're good, but Ridley for sure. Hurts or Burrow? We had this earlier. I mean, you really can't go wrong. You can't. I think I lean Burrow slightly because I could see that game script benefiting Burrow more, where I think Saquon could have just an absolute monster game, which could hurts, no pun intended. If Bucky is out, flex, Braylon Allen, Calvin Ridley. Oh, we already got this. Still thinking Swift will start. It has not been ruled out yet. The good news, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, is that he did practice on Friday. If he had not practiced, that would have been an issue. Winston or Aiden O'Connell? Aiden O'Connell for the floor. If you want upside, yet risk, you can go Winston. But it is a bad matchup. Like I said it earlier, the Steelers have allowed the fewest fantasy points to the quarterback position on the season. So I do worry about that. And I've kind of said it for a few weeks. Like I do think at some point at any moment, Jameis Winston could kind of come crashing back to earth. And I mean, we did see him throw an insane amount of interceptions this past week. It just didn't matter. So I do kind of worry about that. Plus, I know it was in the snow, but he didn't play that great against the Steelers the other week, right? So Winston has all the upside here. Like you could see another performance out of Winston. I mean, it was a bad matchup against the Broncos, and he still absolutely came through. So it is tough here. But if you feel like you don't want to risk it too much and you just want the floor, Aiden O'Connell gives you that floor for sure. But like I said on Tuesday night stream, I'm done betting against Jameis Winston. Like you feel good about Winston, then so be it. Like I'm not gonna stop anybody from starting Jameis Winston for the rest of the season because I didn't like Winston going into that matchup against the Broncos. But to be fair, nobody like a lot of people thought that was gonna be a low scoring game, Broncos, Browns, all this stuff, and it is what it is. But yeah, I mean that one's close. This one's close too from Matt. Cards or Seahawks defense? Like I really like both. Going into the week, I kind of like the Seahawks defense a bit more. But both have been solid over the past couple of weeks. And the last time these two played, both had a pretty good game, right? I believe both had double digits. So it's really a coin flip. I kind of lean the Seahawks, but we've also seen like a string or two of interceptions out of both Geno Smith as well as our boy Kyler Murray. So yeah, it could really go either way here. But I think I lean the Hawks just a tad bit. Very close though. All right, we will give Jaden Reed a break. Jaden, why'd you do that to us? Matt LaFleur, why'd you Jaden Reed one target? Why'd we do that? Come on. DJ Moore, JSN, Garando, or Adams. Well, DJ Moore is questionable because why not? If I can only start one, I'm probably just going JSN. I think he's the safest start. But Garando's fine too. Which three do I start? Williams, Chasey, Charbs, Garando, Warren, or Aaron Jones? Is Kyron Williams? I'm going Kyron, Tracy against the Saints. and Garando. But if you want to go Charbs over Tracy or Garando, that's fine too. Going to be close there. Lex plants some trees. B. Tom, Hopkins, Ridley. I'm going Ridley for sure. I like B. Tom still this week, but I'm going Ridley. Yeah. Pitchers from the queue: Garando, Jennings, Allen. Garando for me. But you could definitely go Allen if you want. Geno Smith or O'Connell for rest of the season. O'Connell. He has the better matchup. He's got the best strength of schedule of any quarterback to wrap up the season. O'Connell and Will Levis. So yeah, I'll take that. Logman, we got Hurts, Burrow, Chase Brown, Kyron, Pollard, Garando, Connor, Moore, Myers, Tyreek, Hawk, Otten, Disley, Steelers, Chargers. So we need to set everything. I mean, Hurts or Burrow could be super close, could go either way. There's a third time you got a Hurts or Burrow question. I'll lean Burrow, but I mean, it could go either way. Very close. Very close. I just think that Saquon could have one of those games that could hurt Hurts. No pun intended for the third time. Uh-oh. I disappeared for a second. That was weird. I'm going Chase Brown. I'm going Kyron Williams. Although I do really like Pollard. I'm going to go Jacoby Myers and Tyreek Hill. I will flex DJ Moore if he plays. If he does not play, I will go Pollard. Tight end, this is a complete. Like, it could go any way here. You could either take the matchup for Otten or Disley or go with the floor and Hawkinson. I kind of like Hawk this week. I got a feeling he's gonna have a good game against the Falcons. Don't ask me why. And I will go with the Steelers defense. So Burrow, Brown, Kyron, but I do really like Pollard. DJ Moore, Myers, Tyreek. If DJ Moore does not play, or if Myers does not play, give me Pollard. And I'll go Hawk, but those tight ends could go any direction. Keenan Allen or Hopkins? I will go Keenan Allen. Are the Vikings defense a good option this week? I couldn't pick up the Seahawks. Yeah, I still think the Vikings are a good floor for sure. They've been fantastic on the season. So I think at worst, like 8 points, like you're going to get something out of them. So yes, they're still fine to start. They're the defense one on the season, right? And non-PPR, who should I flex this week because Brees is out? Garando, Allen, White, or Myers? Okay, so repeating for me. So I already got this one. So for me to answer again, it's Myers. All right, so we got a super chat from Spencer. What is going on, my dude? Hi. Hello, Spencer. PPR, start 2, Thomas, Jacoby, or Jennings. Man, and once again, like, I just got to bench Jennings here. I think Jennings could have a good floor, but this matchup against the Bears, like, it just worries me. They're giving up the 4th fewest points to wide receivers. They are also giving up the 2nd fewest points to quarterbacks. I don't think Purdy's fully healthy. I said it all last week. I mean, it's not going to be a snow game this week, but I got to bench Jennings. I think Jennings could come through. Don't get me wrong, but Jacoby is healthy and plays, which I think he's going to play. You got to start Jacoby. Then all year long, I've called B. Thomas start and try not to doubt him, and you just kind of ride with the punches. But I like both those players' situations better. Now, the Titans are not bad against wide receivers, but I will go B. Tom and Jacoby. Good question, Spence. And thank you for the super chat. And Germs with another super chat here. Thank you, guys. Patrick Mahomes, Baker, or Will Levis? Like, this is a tough one. I do think Mahomes will be fine, but this is not a great matchup. The Chargers defense has been a little fluky lately, but they're still giving the 9th fewest points to quarterbacks. And they've moved back against receivers, 17th against receivers. And it is worth noting they're third against tight ends. Where do they're fifth against running backs. Like, this is still a very good defense. I'd probably go Baker. Like, I know Baker has not been playing as well lately, but I think Baker gives you the most upside. Mahomes he's Mahomes. You never know. And Will Levis does have a very good matchup. I do think he's streamable, but Baker's been the best fantasy quarterback out of this bunch on the season. I would just roll Baker. All right, let me try. Yeah, this is where we were. Thank you guys for the super chats. Flex Mooney, Hopkins, or Adams. Man, oh man. I think Hopkins gives you a floor. I still think Adams gives you a floor, but I hate this matchup against Miami. And I mean, like, in the red zone, Rodgers gonna look for Devontae Adams. It's probably Adams. I mean, he has had double digits in 3 of his last 4. I think the 2 teams that could come completely crashing down at any moment are the Jets and the Niners. And they both have bad matchups this weekend. But it's probably Adams. Like, Mooney's so fluky. You just can't really trust Mooney. He's had like 4 good games. It is a good matchup, though. Hopkins, probably a floor, but we just talked about that Chargers defense. It's tough. I'd probably go Adams, but I got problems with all 3 of these guys, and I'm sure you do too. That's why you're asking. Barbara, Ferguson, a good option. 100% love this matchup for Fergie, and Cooper Rush likes to throw to tight ends. You're welcome, Clint. Guys, do me a favor. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button down below. Rodney, full PPR, need 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. Connor, Jarbs, White, Waddle, Lamb, Debo, and BTJ. Good question here, Rodney. I probably stick with the volume in Connor, and I'll stick with that same matchup. I'll go Charbs. I want to start White. I mean, he gets Cincinnati, but I want to start Lamb. I'm sorry. He gets Cincinnati, but he is okay. He's been cleared. Thank goodness. That helps a lot. So yeah, start Lamb. I mean, Cincinnati's awful. I'd start BTJ. The flex is really up in the air. I'm not flexing Debo. It's White or Waddle, whoever you like better. Very close there. But Connor, Charbs, Lamb, BTJ for me. Mel, good to see you. What's up? You're welcome, Logman. Barbara, I need all my players to make 20 points each. It's a must-win week. I feel you. That is the goal every week, right? We'll see what happens. Crossing my fingers for all you guys. Johnny, good to see you. Start 2.5 PPR. Charbs, Garando, Moore, or Shakir. And half PPR, I'd probably take Charbs and Garando, but I have a tough time benching DJ Moore if he plays, even in half PPR. So I would say DJ Moore, as long as he's healthy, and whichever running back you like better. And half PPR, Shakir kind of moves down. He doesn't have like really any touchdown upside. He's good floor in PPR, but that's about it. So generally in half PPR, I'll just roll out those running backs though. Start Baker or Kyler. I probably lean Kyler, but I think Baker's completely fine. We've talked a lot about Baker tonight as well. So you want to go Baker, that's fine. Let's see here. The matchups. So Baker gets the Raiders. They are oops, that's not right. No, they're 26 against quarterbacks. Kyler gets the Hawks. They're 16th. So I think I'm leaning Baker. Baker for a floor, Kyler for upside. Definitely close. Titans or Arizona's defense. I'm going to go Arizona for a floor, Titans for upside, but a lot of risk. But both were in the must-start video for the week. Both are playable this week. I lean Arizona. I'll try and take that floor. Yeah, that's a tough one. 50th state of mind. I really think I'd play Adams, but yeah, I mean, and the touchdowns are what it's going to come down to. You know, if one of these guys scores, they probably outscore the other one. Legend of Trey also asking Tracy, Rico, or Charb start 2. Probably Charbonnet and Rico. I've gone really back and forth on Tracy this week. I love the matchup. Um, I just don't know exactly what we're going to get out of this offense this week. I mean, they're at home. The Saints are really bad against the run. Last week, they're on the road. Dallas is really bad against the run, and Tracy had 14 and a half fantasy points, a touchdown off of just 11 total touches, including his catches. So, I mean, it's really close here. Tracy, I mean, the Saints are awful against the run, so Tracy's up there. Tracy was going to be in the must start video, but then the quarterback situation made it difficult. The Saints are 29th against running backs, so and actually the Bengals are not that bad. I just like Rico Dowdle right now because he's guaranteed all of that volume, and he's going to get options once opportunity once the Cowboys get into the red zone, right? So it's really close there. Andrea, good to see you. Herbert, Caleb, Russ, Kyler. I would go Kyler, but I do think Herbert will bounce back this week. I do think he'll bounce back this week. But yeah, I think Kyler's perfectly safe here. Space Ghost, 2 wide receivers and a flex. Garrett Wilson, Keenan, Amari, Judy, Najee, and Braylon Allen. What's up, Space Ghost? Good to see you. I'll go Keenan, Judy, and Najee. If you want to go Braylon Allen over one of those guys, I think that's fine. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what to do with Garrett Wilson right now, man. Keenan's been on fire. It's not a great matchup, but I'm not particularly scared of this Niners defense. Judy is not really a great matchup, but I find him tough to bench right now. Najee is not a great matchup, but I find him particularly tough to bench right now. I'm on the Braylon Allen hype this week, but yeah, I mean, I would guess over the past couple weeks, easily the most productive guys have been Judy, Najee, and Keenan Allen. So I would stick with them. PPR, 1 wide receiver and a flex, also from Space Ghost. Started Reed, so need upside. We got Keenan, Westbrook-Ikini, and Cooks. I'm going to go Keenan still because, I mean, he's been on fire as of late. And I do think Brandon Cooks is sneaky this week. If you guys watch the sneaky starts video. But I you need upside. I got to go Nick Westbrook-Ikini. I mean, Keenan Allen has had 8+ targets in 2 straight games, 3 touchdowns, 73 or more receiving yards in each of the last 2, and 23.6 or more fantasy points in 2 straight games. I'm going to stick with Keenan Allen, and I'm going to take the upside of Nick Westbrook-Ikini. But I do like Brandon Cooks. He is sneaky. Appreciate you, Space Ghost. Hope you're doing well as well. All right, guys. Let me know what you guys need. I might cut it short tonight. I'm sorry. I know it's a really important week, but as you guys have heard and seen throughout the stream, I'm just still dealing with being sick. And I got to make a video for tomorrow. But I will stick around a couple minutes here. If you guys need anything, just throw it on in here. And of course, we also usually don't get to the bottom of the chat this quickly. So, but yeah, if you guys need anything, I am right here waiting for questions. But if not, I'll go ahead and start wrapping it up. So, as always, on the week, on the channel, we have everything that you guys need. I have a streaming video out for defenses for the rest of the season, primarily for the fantasy playoffs, but also talked about week 14 in that video. We have our early video for must start defenses out. I have a last minute waiver wire video out for you guys. I have a potential bust video. I have a sneaky starts and streams video that'll go over streaming options at quarterback and tight end, as well as sneaky starts at running back and wide receiver. 8 players that are must start players going into the week. Pete did his kicker video for the week. He ranked every single kicker going into this week. And then, of course, we have start sets at quarterback, tight end, running back, and wide receiver. So literally everything you guys could possibly need, as well as, of course, 10 lessons learned from the previous week and our early waiver wire video. But some of that stuff already outdated as a lot has happened since. So tomorrow, I always put out a video going over things you need to know before Sunday's action kicks off. Need one, Seattle, Arizona, Tampa. It's a coin flip between Seattle and Arizona, and I lean Seattle, but it could definitely go either way. Space Ghost says hit the like button. It's free. Do it. Start one, New Orleans, Kansas City, or Cincy. I will go New Orleans. I'll take the upside here. I'm not starting Cincinnati's defense. And Kansas City, like, they just have not been a good fantasy defense. I'll go New Orleans. Take the upside against Drew Lock and the Giants. They definitely have the best turnover potential. All right, guys. Good luck to all you guys this week. Hope you guys all bring home the dub. Hope all you guys make the fantasy playoffs. I'm in plenty of leagues where I'm in the playoffs. I'm in plenty of leagues where, like, I can get in if I lose. If I win, then I'm fine. I'm in plenty of leagues where I need to win. I'm in a few leagues where I'm just out. So it's a little bit all over the place this season, like it usually is, because I'm in almost 20 leagues. But right now, I should make the playoffs in 11 out of 17 leagues. So not too bad this year. In one of my dynasty leagues, I am not in the playoffs, and I'm sad about that. But made playoffs in all the other dynasty leagues, and I played a win in dynasty. But the league I did not make the playoffs in is a league where I went all in, I believe. No, I'm good on that. That's right. I have all my picks in that league, so I'm good. Albert, thanks for stopping by as we start to wrap up here. Have a good night, Andrea. Albert, Dowdle, Tracy, Charbs. I like all three guys this week. I feel like we just got like the same question. I like all three of these guys this week. I'll probably lean matchup and go Tracy and Charbs, but I think Dowdle, once again, like, he's gonna get all that volume. So he is still a very startable player, to say the least. But I probably take the matchups, go Charb and Tracy. Very close. All right, guys, hit the like button on the way out. We got tons of content on the channel for this week. If you guys need anything else, drop a comment. I'll be clearing as many comments as I can before tomorrow's action kicks off. And, of course, check out tomorrow morning's video as well when that drops. Falcon Fantasy Football, I see you at the bottom of the chat. My team, Connor or Moore. If Moore plays, I'll go DJ Moore. If he does not play, I'll go Connor. But I think both are kind of just solid floors this week. But for what it's worth, on paper, Connor does have the better matchup. But DJ Moore has kind of been on fire lately. I have a tough time benching him. So, yeah, I would roll with DJ Moore if possible. Mo, Ridley, or Cooks? I'm going Ridley. He gets the Jags. He's been pretty dang solid as of late. I'm going Ridley. But Cooks is a nice little sneaky start. And I do like Cooks more, actually, now that Lamb is playing. Less defensive pressure for him. Should actually suit him. But I'm going Ridley. I mean, Ridley's pretty close to must-start territory. So, yeah. If Ridley plays, I find it very, very difficult to bench Ridley. Without a doubt. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for the fantasy questions tonight. Thank you guys for hanging out, talking fantasy. Sorry for the shorter stream, but just still getting over this cold. So I do apologize, guys. But thank you guys for letting me try and help you guys this week. And good luck to all you guys. Hope everyone makes the playoffs. Hope you guys all win your matchups. And like I said, you guys can drop a comment on any of the videos for the week or on tomorrow morning's video. And I'll get as many comments cleared before kickoff tomorrow as I can. So thank you guys for hanging out. Hope everyone's having a great weekend. And I will talk to you guys soon. With that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on The Catch. And